in XAT 2023 paper. This is the paper right in front of you. This is the first question. All of you can see the question, right? I have shared the sheet, right? I think I have. Right. Good. Chalo. So this is the question you have. It says that read the sentences carefully. And so what does the instruction say? Instruction says read the sentences carefully and choose the one that have correct sentences. So this is also very important. When you are asked to mark the correct sentences, don't think it is incorrect, because here you have to find the sentences which are correct, surely correct. So let's read all the sentences first and pick the one that is definitely incorrect. I have been working on this project for 3 weeks. Looks decent. Amitabh Bachchan is married with Jaya Bachchan. So I think this is the first thing that most of you will spot, that it is not married with, it is married to. Agree or disagree, all of you? How many of you did not know this? You're always married to someone and not with someone. See, this kind of error cannot be taught in the class. You cannot have a session that tells you how to use with, how to use to. We call these as idiomatic expressions, in the sense that a particular preposition goes along with a particular verb or particular adjective, and that is how they are. So Amitabh Bachchan is married to Jaya Bachchan. I think most of you would agree with this, and this was very easy to spot. That means sentence number 5 is incorrect, right? If it is incorrect, it should not be there in any of the options. And if it is there in the option, that option is incorrect. So this goes out, this goes out, this goes out. Agree or disagree? See, look at the process, people. There will always be one sentence which would be so, the error of which would be so easy to spot that within the first 10-15 seconds, you would know that this definitely is an incorrect sentence. So all of you know that now, that A is not the right answer, C is not the right answer, D is not the right answer, because all of them have fifth sentence, which is incorrect. So that means the answer has to be between B and E. So almost 50% probability of getting the question correct. Agree? So let's read 134 and 136. In fact, 3 and 4 are there in both of them. That means both 3 and 4 are correct. 3 says the government has entered into a discussion. You might wonder what is wrong with this. The government has entered into a discussion with the local bodies for keeping the streets clean. I don't know. Maybe it's something must be wrong. The government has entered into a discussion. And then the other one says, while, sorry, 3 and 4, I will start my tour from, so nothing is, it's right. I mean, it is correct sentence. Huh? So 3 looks correct, has entered into a discussion. 4 looks correct. I will start my world tour from Sri Lanka. In fact, 4th is the best sentence. There is nothing wrong with it. So both 3 and 4 are correct. There is nothing wrong with 3, nothing wrong with 4. So it is either 1 or 6. One says the exam will begin from 2 p.m. on January 8th. I have been working on this project for 3 weeks. Now, both of these sentences, if you look carefully, they have something inappropriate in them. I have been working on this project for 3 weeks. So many people think that it should be since 3 weeks, because since means that you have been working and you are still continuing to work. For, on the other hand, says that there is a fixed time duration. So I have been working on this project. So it should be like this. I have worked on this project for 3 weeks. That means you have worked, or you have been working, or I worked on this project. You can simply remove this and you can simply say I worked on this project for 3 weeks. That means you are no longer a part of this project. Now there are all these possibilities. Either you can say I have been working on this project for 3 weeks. For 3 weeks means 3 weeks have passed and you are still a part of the project. So it is present continuous, uh, present perfect continuous tense. Again, the tenses part. So that's the reason why last time I told you that you go through all the concept, because if I start solving the questions and I will use certain terms, and if you don't know, then you will start asking questions. So what do you mean by present perfect continuous tense, right? So when you say I have been working on this project, see, I will give an example now. I have been waiting for you. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. I have been waiting for you for 3 hours, correct? What do you mean by this? You mean to say that I have been waiting and you're still almost waiting. It's just like I have given a call to my friend and we had decided to meet at some place, and I told him that, where are you? I have been waiting for you for 3 hours. That means I'm still waiting. The other way is I have been waiting for you since morning. That means the morning has gone and ever since then I'm still waiting for you. Both of these show that you are still waiting. Correct? So I have been waiting can take for, it can also take since. There is nothing wrong with it. So if you put here the word for and the word since, both of them would be just the same correct. You might ask me then what is wrong with 1? Because if you put 6 as correct, then E becomes the answer because 3 and 4 are correct. You have put 6 as correct, E becomes the answer, or if 3 and 4 are correct, then what is wrong with 1? The exam will begin from 2 p.m. on, more appropriately should be at, because when something is about to start, the exam will begin at 2 p.m., right? When you use the word from, it generally shows a span of time. From will always take the end to. And that is how exactly it means. Again, that is a little murky in the sense that can you have from as a beginning point of something? Yes. We started our trip from Mumbai. There is no need to say that, uh, uh, there is no need to have two in that. I started my trip from Mumbai, full stop, nothing wrong with it. I started, I have been to travel from Mumbai to Pune, you will take 3 hours. So in that case, from will take two. So to travel, to move from Mumbai. See, this is all technicalities. That's the reason why. If you ask, sir, what is your strategy? My strategy would be that you read all the sentences, look at the one that is definitely incorrect. This is definitely incorrect. So you immediately eliminated A, C, and D. Now you're left with 1, 3, and 4, and 3, 4, and 6. Out of 1 and 6, I don't know. I have always thought that both 1 and 6 are equally correct, but the official answer says that E is correct because there is nothing wrong in sentence 6, whereas in sentence 1, it says that it should be at and not from, which I feel is a little doubtful in the sense that the exam will start from 2 p.m., but at is a better preposition. That is what I feel. So the exam will begin at 2 p.m. on January 8th, or the exam will begin at 2, will start at 2 p.m. on January 8th, but not from, because from generally demands to, and maybe that is the reason why it has been declared as a error sentence, grammatical error. But this is a tough selection in the sense that out of 1 and 6, it will be very difficult for you to select which one is right on the exam day. Nevertheless, at least I have 50% probability of arriving at the right answer. So the idea is that let's use the option such that we zero down on the right answer in a very short amount of time. Whether it is 1 or 6, which one is correct, incorrect, that's a different ball game. I hope you understand that why this question is a little tricky in the sense that sentence number 1 has a very subtle error, not easily identifiable. Initially, I quickly thought that this is not for, this should be since. Since means since 3 weeks, I'm still working in the project. That's why I have been working has been used. But for is also equally correct. Similarly, from and at can be interchanged at many places, but this is a subtle grammatical error. Are we clear, everyone? I hope let's not discuss any question too much. But this is the method that you all have to follow, because if the question is easy, then this question will be easily crackable by you. समझ में आ रहा है, everyone? There is one more grammar question, so I will immediately finish the grammar ones. This is the first grammar question. The second grammar question has come somewhere down here. I saw it. Let me just move down. This is the Parajumble. This is fill in the blank. This is the one. Try this one, please, all of you, and see if you can apply the same method. See, the method has to be the same. Just because you are getting one closed choice and you have got the question wrong doesn't mean that you have to change your method. Look at this now. The second grammar question. In 2024, we had grammar questions both in we had two grammar questions in 24. In 23 also we had two grammar questions. Hopefully this year also you might have two grammar questions. The boss accused her employee for. Do you accuse for something or do you accuse of? Accused of something hota hai. These days you read articles and newspaper, right? So what do you what do you say that I am accused of? I have been accused of, let's say, domestic violence. So accused will never take for. Accused always takes off. Now again, preposition has been used. Even in the previous question, preposition was used to create errors. Now prepositions can be very troublesome, particularly for non-native speakers, because non-native speakers don't use English as a language to communicate normally. So the prepositions don't come smoothly on the tip of their tongue, unless you are unless you are an English teacher or you are a writer or something. But all of us are very clear that it would be accused of and not accused for. So we have one as incorrect. The boss had better discuss the issue with employee. Now I will tell you, this had better has come many times in that. Had better will always take future or future tense or present tense. Are you getting my point? No, that's what I'm telling you. Had better will always take future tense or present tense. Please keep this in mind. The boss had better keep the issue with the, I mean, it sounds had better basically, had better is always replaced with should. Correct. This is the model auxiliary, and what should follow should be in the future or in the present sense. Please keep this in mind. This is very shocking to, not shocking, unusual for us to use it actually. Had better is equal to should. Okay. And the verb that comes after that should be in present or future. Are we clear, everyone? For example, I have been sitting at your place for a long, long time and it's getting late and it's snowing outside. So I would say that I had better leave quickly because my mother is calling. Did you understand? Now, this is just a rule of the language. I mean, don't ask kya hoga. Had better is actually equal to should. And it is always used, the verb that follows after this should always be used in the present or the future. That means this should be in the present or the future, and that is fine because there is no ed to it. So this looks correct. The India of 2022 is very different from the India. This is the exact example I had taken in my grammar sessions, where I have said that if I put article the in front of a proper noun, and again I put article the in front of the proper noun, that means I'm having two Indias in my mind. One India is of 1947, the other India is of 2022. And therefore, since I have two different Indias, I can put the article the in front of one India and I could put the article the in front of the other India. Though India used as a country would never have article the. Suppose if I say India is a developing country, then I can't say the India is a developing country. Did you understand, everyone? Are you clear that why many of you might find this strange? See, this is the reason, this is the problem with grammar. I can make it simple for you. I can make it very complicated for you. So this is also correct. This is also correct. He is good in, now see why, how I got the error. He is good in playing the piano. He is good at something. So when I look at this sentence, I know the error is definitely there. And when I look at this sentence, the error is definitely there. So I use one, correct, because there is error. I use five because there is error. So without worrying about any other thing, I know that this is definitely a pair of sentence that has incorrect sentences in them. And there cannot be two right answers. And therefore, immediately I zero down on C as my answer. Because what I did here was that this had error and therefore incorrect. This had error, therefore incorrect, according to me. The boss has accused employee of stealing. He is good at play. See, you always say, I'm good at cricket, I'm good at something. He's particularly when you are playing some instrument or cricket. So he's good uh, at at doing something, something like this. So the preposition at here, the preposition of here, and these two are errors. Again, if you're not used to the prepositions and the errors, you would have a tough time doing it. But at least what happens is, if I try to attempt the question and go by the elimination method, let's say, for example, the government is committed to providing. Now, you might wonder why committed to and what provide. Correct? This is also a problem, that the government is committed to provide people with food. Now, I will tell you what happens. To can be a, to can be infinitive, which means that I can have to plus verb. This is one way of writing to plus verb. And I can have to as a preposition. And in that case, what happens is I have to plus, preposition will never take a verb. Preposition will always take a noun or a pronoun or a gerund. Huh? Okay. So I have been to what? Mumbai. Correct. What is this to? This to is a preposition. This is not an infinitive. I like to eat non-veg food. ठीक है? This to eat is a infinitive. Why? Because this to has taken a noun and this to has taken a verb. That means it is infinitive. Now understand this. I am committed to the job, right? To the job, or I am committed to my wife. Yes or no? Or I am committed to the responsibility. All of you agree that this is how you will write? Agree or disagree? Please tell me first. I am committed to the job. I am committed to my wife. I am committed to my responsibilities. I think most of you would write like this. So that means this too is taking what? A noun. This too is taking a noun. I am committed to what? The job. It's a noun. I'm committed to what? My wife. I'm committed to my wife, to my responsibilities. That means if this too is taking a noun all the time, that means this too is a preposition. If this too is a preposition, then it will never take a verb. It will take a noun or a pronoun or a gerund. Did you understand this? So the government is committed to what? Committed to this particular thing. And many people make the mistake of saying, I am looking forward to visit you or visiting you. Please tell me. Now you will have a difficulty. You would say, I'm looking forward to visiting you. They both look correct. No. I'm looking forward to, can I say the match? Suppose if there is a test match tomorrow between India and Australia, and you are very keen to watch the match. So what would you say to your friend? I am looking forward to the match. That means this too is going to take a noun. If it is going to take a noun, then it is not a infinitive, it's a preposition. So it will not take a verb, it will take a gerund. Clear, everyone? Many people make the mistake of using the infinitive. They don't use the preposition format. So I'm looking forward to visiting you rather than to visit you. I hope this is clear to everyone. See, very subtle, grammar concepts can go so very deep. That's why I told you that use the elimination method. That's the simplest way. If the question is easy, you will get the question correct. If it is complicated, you will know and you will either leave it or maybe take a 50-50% chance. Is this thing clear to you that to can be a preposition and therefore what comes after it should never be a verb? It should be a gerund or a noun or a pronoun or a clause. Yes or no? Okay. See, this is pretty intricate grammar. I mean, I don't I don't like to see these kind of things in an aptitude test because it doesn't make any sense today in the times of Chat GPT and all those apps which rectify your grammatical errors. There is no need for us to have these kind of questions, but nevertheless they have come. I hope that they get rid of these kind of questions this year and put more of even vocabulary questions are still acceptable. But this kind of very subtle grammatical error looks very schoolish. CBSE board exam, I understand. But to have these kind of very subtle at and in, to providing, these are very subtle errors. It would be very difficult for you to prepare for these kind of errors in a very short span of time. Either you end up, either you put all your time studying grammar for these two questions, and even then you would end up getting hardly any question correct in the exam. So be little careful. ठीक है, समझ में आ गया ना? But still, the approach is very important. I know that this is definitely an error. So I run through all the sentences. I know that this is incorrect and this is, so one of the choices has to be either five, either A or C, and then two and five. So many people would have thought two is incorrect, so they would have marked one, two, but that is not the case. Okay, chalo. Anyways, so let's look at some of the other kind of stuff now. So we have taken the two grammar questions. Let's try this question. Everyone, please read it and tell me what could be the answer. We have done enough of cat stuff, enough of practicing you must have done. So let's quickly see what is the answer for this one. I will read it quickly for you, and I think most of you would get this correct. And then after solving 15 questions, we will check how many we could have got correct. है ना? So let's do this here. क्या कह रहा है? What does it say? More people signed up for Harvard's online course in a year, for example, than have attended the university in its 377 years of existence. Right? In the same spirit, there are more unique. See, this more unique itself is incorrect. Huh? But he's trying to talk about the numbers. There are more unique visits each month to the WebMD network, a collection of health websites, than all the doctors working in the US. In the legal world, three times as many disagreements each year among eBay traders are resolved using online dispute resolution than there are lawsuits filed in the entire US court system. On his sixth birthday, the Huffington Post had more unique monthly visitors than the website of the New York Times, which is almost 164 years. What is the author trying to say? He says that more unique, more unique, more unique on this side, that place, that place. The British tax authorities use a fraud detection system that holds more data than the British Library, which has copies of every book ever published in the UK. In 2014, the US tax authorities received electronic tax returns from almost 48 million people who had used online tax preparation software rather than a tax professional to help them. The architectural firm Gramazio and Kohler used a group of autonomous flying robots to assemble a structure of 1,500 bricks. So, what is happening here? A online thing happened. This was so new things are happening, particularly in the online space. The consulting firm Accenture has 750 hospital nurses on its staff, while Deloitte, founded as an audit practice 170 years ago, now has 200,000 professionals and on its own full-scale corporate university set in 700,000 square foot campus in Texas. Okay, so lots of details about how companies have changed or how new things have happened online like this. So the author of the above paragraph is trying to conclude something by citing different pieces of evidence. What is he trying to conclude? What old firms can do to survive? So he's trying to say that lots of new things are happening at different places. What old firms can do to survive? Is this the bone of contention? Deloitte is old, right? The British Library is also a library. But is there a problem of survival? Did you understand this? When you say that what old firms can do to survive, nowhere has it been said that New York Times is getting overshadowed and eaten by Huffington Post. Huffington has more unique monthly visitors and it has more visitors than New York Times. Does that mean that New York Times has is in threat of survival? I mean, does it say I can have always comparisons between things, but it's quite possible that Huffington is an online blog thing and maybe New York Times is a paper published. That's the reason could be the pro. Are you getting my point, everyone? So when you say that what old firms can do to survive, firstly, the author has not talked about anything what old firms can do. He has simply made comparisons. And comparisons doesn't mean that the one who has lower numbers is has the fear of survival. For example, if you look at lots of online things, you have the Wire, which is online news, the print online news, you have the first post, all these are online, right? All of you agree? But the Times of India, the Indian Express, the Hindu, all these are offline publishing newspapers, so these people might have more online visitors than the offline publishing portals. I mean, the offline publishing media houses. That doesn't mean that because these have more numbers, these are in threat. That is the problem many of you have. Survival, nowhere it is given that they are having difficulty in surviving. If there is no survival, there is no death also. So this also is not a conclusion. How automation is taking away jobs for traditionally done by humans. Now, when you say that automation is taking away jobs, is it taking away jobs or is it creating new jobs? Or no? See, again, the problem is with the word automation and taking away jobs. Nothing has been said about jobs being taken away. More people signed up for Harvard's online course than have attended the university in 377 years. So it's possible that online Harvard courses are pursued by, let's say, 10,000 people. And in the offline university, they have only 5,000 people. Does that mean that people are losing their jobs? Just because there are more health professionals on Deloitte, does it mean that people are losing jobs? So where does the thing come that there is jobs being taken away? Not even, nothing has been mentioned of that. How new organizational forms are emerging? Possible. How professionals are getting replaced, again the same problem. When you say taking away jobs has no evidence, even the replacement of people has no evidence. You might feel that it is giving statistics in that sense, but nothing of that kind is happening, believe me. Look at this. In 2014, the US tax authorities received the electronic tax returns from more than 48 million people who had used online tax preparation. So does it mean that people are losing jobs? The architectural firm Gramazio Kohler used a group of autonomous flying robots to assemble structure of 500 bricks. Does it say anything that now the people who did the jobs are getting replaced? The consulting firm has 750 hospital nurses on its staff, while Deloitte has an audit practice. So nowhere it is implying that jobs are being taken away. It is just talking about numbers, that this has more numbers than that form, which is very old. This new form is having these numbers very much. So how professionals are getting replaced by technology is one idea. The new how new organization forms are emerging. Yes or no? This is the answer. Clear, everyone? Yes or no? You have to stick to what you see on the page. Just because that there are more number of people reading newspapers online doesn't mean that the paper published in hard copy are not having the numbers. It's quite possible that even they are doing quite well. So the whole idea that because in certain spaces you have more online numbers and those spaces are driven by technology, that doesn't mean that they are replacing the job. That's why if you reread the whole paragraph twice, you will realize, yeah, they are just less. They are just less. New forms have come and these new forms have more numbers. That doesn't mean that the old forms does not have the numbers, or the old forms numbers are decreasing, or the old forms are getting the jobs in the old forms are getting lost because of the new forms. All these are jumping to conclusions. We don't know. We don't know whether it's quite possible that both the things can go hand in hand. So online banking is increasing, right? Most of you would agree, yes, online banking is increasing very much. Does it mean that people don't visit banks anymore? We don't know. Maybe both the numbers are increasing, but online is much, much greater than the offline numbers. So unless something is given as an evidence, we can't infer that. And that is the reason why when he says that the author of the above paragraph is trying to conclude, if I am trying to conclude something, I'm not going to say that survival where no one is in danger. Dying, who says that they are dying? If the numbers are low, doesn't mean that they are dying. If the numbers are falling like this over the years, then they are dying. So 20 years ago, these many people read New York Times. Today, 10 years ago, these many. Then 5 years ago, these. Now today, these are these many. Then I can say they are dying. But nothing of that. And similarly, taking away jobs and replacing by technology, again, I don't have any evidence. So I would always mark D safely. Why? Why new organizational form? Because tax settlements were not done online earlier. Flying robots were not used earlier. Uh, the dispute resolutions was not done online earlier. So now because they have emerged online, that is new organizational forms emerging everywhere. Maybe that is what he's trying to highlight. That is the safest option for me. All my inference sessions, I have been telling you all the while, don't see more than what is given to you. So if you see tears in my eyes, you can't simply say that I am something tragic has happened. It could be also that something great has happened. But because tears are associated with sadness, you immediately jump to the conclusion that something tragic has happened. It's also possible that the person has had some great relief from some very bad thing, and maybe he's delighted, and that's the reason why tears are rolling down his cheeks. So tears rolling down my cheeks doesn't necessarily shouldn't necessarily lead to the conclusion that I'm sad. It could also be happiness. That is something that you have to always guard against. Many of you have not done well in CAT because of this reason, that you take the evidence, but then from that evidence, the inference that is drawn is little wavered. A typical example of that in this question. Clear, everyone? Again, if you use just one, see again, a robot was used to assemble a structure out of 100 500 bricks. You might say, yes, sir, this suggests that men have been replaced. But then I have to not just look at this piece of evidence. He is citing different pieces of evidence and what is collectively trying to conclude. Are you getting my point? So you just pick this one piece of evidence to justify that no, how professionals are getting replaced by technology. है ना? Same problem. Many of you have made this mistake in CAT as well. You found this as an option and you thought that, well, this is very much suggesting that option E is correct. But what you have done is, in that process, you have ignored all the other evidence. You have ignored the question itself, and therefore your question has gone wrong. Secondly, whether people are replaced or not is something that is open to interpretation. It's quite possible that flying robots are used and the people who were engaged in this kind of job have given a better kind of a job or a different kind of a job. We don't know. And there are many places in that questions itself, you will find that some options are troublesome because they are counterintuitive. And there will be such questions in our discussion. I will tell you that there are such questions which are problematic. Okay? Chalo, please try this question. Third question, all of you try. समझ में आ रहा है? Third question, what is the answer? Now people just, sorry, please tell me. As a generation, we are rethinking what we are to others. Our technological prowess has become a wireless lifeline for others. Some of us apply ourselves to innovation, hackathons, and other forms of technological creativity. Our families look to us to know how to use technology both to waste time and to make meaning. Some of us set up FaceTime. So can I say that what we are to others, lifeline for others, families, face-to-face time, what is it driving at? Which are the following the most meaningful conclusion? Okay, you might say, acha, हाँ, change is the only constant in life, so people must embrace. Maybe. Technological advancement helps society derive meaning from work. What kind of work we are doing? Can I say that, see, this is acceptable to me, but this is definitely not acceptable? Agree? Because my question is that relationship, families, others, friends, face-to-face time, from where this work has come. Are you working in office or are you doing some labor? So this is definitely not acceptable to me. And where has the pandemic come? The pandemic has not even been discussed, and you mark the pandemic. Technology is destroying. The poor fellow has no time to, has no access to his friends, families. And you mean to say that it is destroying? So the way this is beyond the scope of the passage, this is little unnecessary. So either the answer is A or it is E, right? Technology usage has changed social relations for this generation. Yes or no? It has changed social relations for this generation, correct? And why do you think that change is the only constant? Okay, change is the only constant in life. Chalo, for a while, I take it as true. Does the author say people must embrace technology? Did you understand? Has the author put anywhere his opinion? It says that we are thinking. That means everyone, each of us. So he's representing everyone's situation. So it is not said that we must embrace technology, and if we don't do that, then there is something wrong going to happen with us. So this part becomes a little awkward to me. It has changed social relations. Why? No face to face, online, it's okay. Something like this. E is acceptable to all of you. See, whenever you're doing VARC, people use the options effectively to arrive at the answer. Otherwise, we'll always be in this fight. If they don't embrace, doesn't make them wrong, correct? If they don't embrace, नहीं embrace क्या भाई? I have access to my wife and my family members. I am meeting face to face, so it's good. If someone is far away working at a distant place from his family and he has no other option except FaceTime and Zoom and all this, so we must embrace technology. It doesn't make any sense. The author is not forcefully telling us that. See, हाँ, so when you say must embrace, there has to be some sort of, strong suggestions by the author that you should go ahead. Not going ahead is going to make things different and difficult for you. There is no such discussion in the passage. So why should you put that we must embrace? Everyone is clear about it. Let's not waste too much of time in discussing the nitty-gritties of questions, people. है ना? Everyone is with me in this respect. Hmm. आगे बढ़ते हैं ना फटाफट. Punctuation wala. See, there's one video on punctuation in the grammar folder. If you look and if you watch that one video of around roughly 40-45 minutes, you will find that everything is covered on punctuation. In fact, all your school days, you never learned so much of punctuation. Can you tell me which one has? See, this question is actually not of punctuation, to be honest. This question is of punctuation. You might feel that the punctuation has the error, but Italy is famous for their, Italy is famous for its, Italy is famous for its, Italy is famous for its. No, one of the reasons I told you to watch the grammar videos is because I did not explain to you. Italy is a singular idea, particularly if it is referring to a country. See, many of the times you will find that the commentators in cricket say Team India have done well, right? Have you heard of this before? Or sometimes they will not use the word team, they would simply say India have done well. Now, when you are watching a cricket match or some game in which a collection of people are involved, then in that case, a collective noun can be plural. Okay? Please understand this. A collective noun can be plural if it refers to the members of the collection. Otherwise, it is usually singular. So when you say that India have done well, it is not that you are referring to India as one single entity, but you are referring to India as a collection of players, and all the players taken together have done well. So India have done well and India has done well. Both can be accepted as correct. You cannot debate about it. But here Italy is a country used as a country. Italy is famous. You have given Italy is famous. So there is not correct. It should be it's. All of you agree that two options immediately go out. And this is not based on punctuation. This is based on purely pronoun reference. समझ में आ रहा है सबको भाई लोग कुछ बोलो है ना right. And what about the other choices then you might ask to me. Now this is a part of parallel construction. If you remember, I have also I told you that you watch these videos, concept videos. When you have separation of elements, understand this. When do you use and? You use and when the last piece is coming. The last piece is coming, है ना? And before this, you can have either one piece, two piece, three piece, four piece, no matter how many. But when you have and, it means the last piece is coming. Italy is famous. Italy is famous. And then why should you put a comma unnecessarily? I mean, just imagine, my name is Brijesh. ठीक है, बहुत बढ़िया. And then what you do, you put a comma here. I would say, what is the reason why you put a comma? Just because you like to decorate certain sentences, you put a comma. See, a comma is used because the flow is getting obstructed. Something else has come and the flow is continued. I will tell you how this would look with comma. My name is Brijesh. You put a comma, looks nonsense. But if you say my name, comma, as you all know, है ना? Now, does it make sense to all of you? Now, does the comma make sense? Opening comma, closing comma. The idea continues. My name is Brijesh. In between, you have put something, so you have put a comma to show that something else is coming. So hold on for a while. Clear, everyone? Yes or no? So how did we go ahead? Italy is famous for ये comma की जरूरत नहीं है. Nonsense. Anyway, it has gone out. So Italy is famous for its composers and musicians. France, now there is something hidden, is famous for. This is something that you can eat. It means that Italy is famous for this. France is famous for its chefs and philosophers, comma, and Poland. So the third element has come here, right? And is required here, the conjunction, to show that the third element is coming. So this goes out. Why to put, why to put a full stop? Italy is famous for its composers. France, if you say like this, then you have to say France is famous for. Did you understand? If you're putting a full stop here, then you have to put the entire thing here. If you put a comma here, it means this thing is getting repeated. I hope you're following all these things. In grammar, we call this ellipses. Ellipsis का मतलब क्या होता है कि Italy is famous for. France, you don't write it, but it means that is famous for, because the comma shows that there is continuity. Let's say, for example, I will give you one example, I have I have more money than you. Correct? All of you agree that this is grammatically correct? I have more money than you. Agree or not? Ellipsis. You have eaten this thing. It is there, but it is not stated. Similarly, Italy is famous for its, sorry, kahan gaya wo? Italy is famous for its composers and musicians. France is famous for, I haven't mentioned it. And the third element, Poland, is famous for, I haven't mentioned it. So this looks perfect. There kyun aayega bhai? Goes out. The full stop is not wanted. And if you put a full stop, then you put this thing here. Without this, it looks incomplete sentence. Same here. See, so much of effort goes in teaching grammar. I mean, just imagine someone teaches you XAT grammar. He's actually doing the impossible. That's why as I suggested earlier, that please don't go with the hardcore grammar rules. Use your common sense to some extent. You will find it. Okay? Chalo. Clear, everyone? So we have done the fourth question as well. We had to run through quickly, and I thought that we would take many questions. Please take this question now. Slightly medium difficulty. The fifth one. Run through it. When facing various challenges, people in today's digital world heavily rely on private online information seeking behavior. Individuals who experience depression will often attempt to understand their predicament and seek remedy by searching the internet for depression related information and treatment. A recent report says that there exists evidence of many searches comprising the word depression during and just after the elections in country Y. So it can be concluded that the election is experienced by many people in country Y as a truly psychologically traumatizing event, and as such being potentially depressionogenic. Many people, they call me and they ask me, sir, would you teach in Hindi, the subject? I said that, see, the problem is that if I teach you in Hindi, you will anyways become useless for the VAT PI. The point I'm trying to make here is that many of you create barriers for yourself. And one of the self-created barriers is to learn VARC in Hindi. That means I should read all these things for you, translate them into your mother tongue to simplify it for you, and then give you the right answer. See, this is what we call as, creating handicap for yourself. This paragraph is a perfect example of that. You have to read in English, and to quickly understand, you have to think in English. When facing various challenges, people in today's digital world rely on private online information, right? Individuals who experience depression will often attempt to understand their predicament. Dubbing can happen in movies, but please understand, dubbing should not happen here. Yesterday, someone called me and said, "Sir, Hindi." I said, "I will teach you. Go and ask the IIMs to take VAT PI in Hindi. I will teach you in Hindi then." Okay. Anyways, so what do you see here is it says that people search for online things. So who experience depression will often attempt to understand their predicament through the internet. A recent report says that there exists evidence of many searches comprising the word depression during after election in country Y. That means election is a traumatizing event. So, okay, until this point, everything is correct. These are all facts. Yes or no? All the facts have been given to you. And this is where the conclusion has come. Agree, all of you? Now, the problem is, I can't contest the facts. What do you mean by contest? I can't doubt the facts. People in today's digital world rely heavily on private online information. बिल्कुल सही. Individuals who experience depression will often attempt to understand their predicament means problem, and seek remedy on the internet. बिल्कुल सही. If I have depression, I will try to find something online. A recent report says that there exists evidence of many searches comprising the word depression during and after elections. So during and after elections, people search for the word depression, and from this you jump to the conclusion that election is traumatizing event. My God, I need to weaken this. So the many people do not use internet in country X. Can I say unrelated to the argument? Yes or no? And therefore, neither right nor wrong goes out. Election is a festival in some country. It might be in some countries because they don't have a democratic form of government. But I'm concerned with country Y and not with uh, as other countries. So this also goes out. Depression related advertisements are on the rise during and after the election. So it's quite possible. I know. See, when you say that you have to weaken, maybe elections. See, this sort of option goes both the ways. I will tell you how it goes both the ways. It goes both the ways because maybe elections do create depression in people. And that's why you have advertisement, because you have potential customers. Yes or no? This is one way of looking at it. Agree, all of you, that elections do create depressive environment, and maybe because of that people do come under depression, and after that, that's why they look for online thing, and advertisements are also parallelly done because people are in depression during election time. So can I say that this goes both the way? It can also strengthen at the same time. How many of you feel that this can also strengthen the argument? And this is also strengthening the argument. So the only one that is not strengthening is A. Per day sale of antidepressant drugs is constant. That means even if you say that there is a depression in people, because there is a sale of drugs pretty much constant, that means people actually don't have depression. I mean, it is actually very poor option. But out of all these, only A is doing the job that I wanted to do. Whereas D is actually strengthening. Because if depression related advertisements are on the rise during and after election, it means that elections might be the cause of it. Therefore, advertisements are there. At the same time, online searching is also there. So this election is giving rise to two phenomena. One is advertisement, because there is real depression in people, and the other is online search, because there is real depression in people. So D depends upon how you look at it. Why A? See, first of all, A is actually a little lame. Lame in the sense it is not very convincing. But the only reason why A is the best out of the lot is because if per day sale of anti-depression drugs is constant across the years in country Y, that means this election as a traumatizing event which causes depression is slightly not convincing. Why? Because if this is a traumatizing event which can potentially create depression in people, that means during the election time, people should have seen a rise in the depression related drugs to create some sort of correspondence between the two. They say, for example, dengue is very common in Lucknow in the post-monsoon season, that is from September to October, correct? Dengue is very common in Lucknow from September to October. That is what someone says. And when I go and check the sales of pharma companies, dengue related drugs don't see uptick in sales. Now, dengue related drugs don't see uptick in sales in September, October month in Lucknow. So this whole thing that dengue increases in September, October in Lucknow is slightly questionable. You might argue, on the other hand, that why should the sales of drugs be considered as a thing? There may be no sales of drugs as such. Counseling might also be treating people. But that is how you question A as little doubtful choice, in the sense that maybe not as convincing. But the problem is, if I look at all the other choices, they are just not falling in place. So though A is a little lame in terms of, but it is the only choice I can pick. Because I thought initially D. See, initially I thought D, but what happens with D is that depression related advertisements are on the rise during and after election. That means you have election. This causes depression. And because of this, there is advertisement. And because of this, there is online search. So can I say that this can come as a strengthening element rather than as a weakening element? समझ में आ रहा है? I hope everyone is clear about it. हाँ, हाँ, हाँ. If you say that election आया, so people are depressive, so there should be some sort of rise in the sales of drugs. Though a rise in the sales of drugs should not be taken as an indicator that people are not depressive. It's quite possible that counseling might be helping people. The intervention of drugs may not be required. So this is actually a flawed question in the sense that not convincing, but A is the best choice out of the five. हाँ 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 वही है. You have to believe कि हाँ यार सही है. See that, see, I will tell you one thing. My opinion is that also does not do a good job when it comes to creating questions. Lots of questions are flawed. Lots of questions are given random answers. That's the reason why it is very tough. But see, maths has answers. But when it comes to English, sometimes you have a tough time as a teacher to say here. Now, see, many of you might have said this question here. Read the following excerpt carefully and most logically complete. So this kind of question was very common once upon a time in CAT. That's why in my course, you will find that there's a para completion folder. Yesterday, I removed all the questions except fill in the blanks because I thought it is outdated. And the next morning, I see there is a question. So what happens is, this is very similar to your fill in the blank. The only difference is that this sentence is coming at the end. What do you think will come after this? Just say, for example, if I'm a writer and I put this sentence, uh, mm, I don't like traveling in winters. Okay? If I want to continue the idea, how many ways can I continue the idea? You would say that there are many ways. Agree? One way could be, I don't like traveling in winters. Maybe I would give the reason. The winters are very severe. I have allergy to dry weather. Maybe I'm very sensitive to these things. So I might give the reasons why I don't like to travel. Or I might use the word but and say, but traveling in summers is fun for me. है ना? This is also acceptable. I don't like traveling in winter. I'm very sensitive to cold weather. I have problems which are genetic. So I don't like to travel. I don't like traveling in winter, but traveling in summer is fun for me. So this is also one way of moving ahead. This is also other way of moving ahead. But suppose if I say I don't like traveling in winter, my father is very rich. Just imagine for a while. I don't like traveling in winter. My father is very rich. So you say, sir, fine, but then what has your father being rich to do with not traveling in winter? Did you understand now? So there are possibilities and there are impossibilities of continuation. Agree or disagree? So when I see this kind of a question, I have to get rid of all the impossibilities or the awkwardness. And the one that I'm left with could be the right answer. Yes or no? Bolo bhai. So what does it say? It says, in the future, hydrogen may form a significant part of our energy systems. Today, it is mostly used in oil refineries and fertilizer, but in the future, hydrogen could power our cars, heat our homes, and fuel industry. A recent McKinsey study suggested that in less than 25 years, hydrogen could account for 18% of global energy consumption and reduce carbon dioxide emissions from current levels by almost 6 gigatons. What can come next? Do you think this makes sense? You talk all the positives about hydrogen and then you say Germany is unsuccessful. Is that the way you carry your idea forward? है ना? See, earlier experts thought that hydrogen fuel would be too expensive. Now you might say, well, why not this? Is this the way you will complete or is this the way you will open the paragraph? Is the answer. The impact of such a change in the energy system could be huge, potentially. McKinsey that 18% of the energy would come from this. So if 18% comes from here, then it would have a huge impact, huge revenues, and maybe more jobs. The way Germany is out is awkward here. 90% of population knew nothing about technology. See, my concern is not that how many people knew, how many people did not know. Connect the ideas, connect the dots, simple. Here you talk about 18% energy being done through hydrogen. And in next sentence, you talk about how it would create an impact both in the job segment and also in the revenue segment. Germany and people did not know about hydrogen technology. Are you concerned about people knowing or not knowing? In the presence of E, I would never choose DNA. And also with B. See, B is more like a opening sentence rather than a completing sentence. Agree or disagree? See, earlier experts thought that hydrogen would be too expensive. Now I need to continue the paragraph to tell why the experts thought it would be too expensive. So what the writer would do, he would put a full stop here and then he would start a new paragraph with B and then continue the discussion that why earlier. This is a new idea completely. Agree or disagree? I mean, you talked about hydrogen, you talked about what things it would do for us, and then towards the end, you say earlier experts thought that hydrogen fuel would be too expensive. You have not left anything for the reader to say why they thought it would be too expensive. So you are broaching a new topic, and with that, you are completing the paragraph. It would make more sense for you to start the next paragraph with this sentence. ये आ गया, science पूरा आ गया. Did you understand why he is the best choice? The last sentence of a paragraph, but D doesn't sound too wrong. Despite the potential, 90% of the general population knew nothing about hydrogen technology. See, there are two things. You might say that despite the potential, 90% of the population knew this is not a problem. 90% of the general population knew nothing about hydrogen technology. This is a problem actually. I mean, it's quite possible you might say, "Sir, हाँ, ये तो सही जा रहा है." I will put it like this. Despite the potential, a recent McKinsey study suggested that in less than 25 years, hydrogen would account for 18% of the global energy consumption and reduce carbon dioxide emissions from current levels by around 6 gigatons. And then you say, despite the potential, 90% of the general population knew nothing about this. This is where the new idea comes. है ना भाई ठीक है despite the potential that I understand. But hydrogen technology, people not knowing about it, what has this to do with the other discussion happening in the passage? है ना? Always choose the one. See, there are two things when you complete the paragraph. Firstly, continue the discussion. This is very important. You continue the idea without bringing in anything new. And secondly, bring it to a smooth end. That is how you close your paragraph. So when I look at D, this is not a problem despite the potential, because potential refers to 18% of global energy consumption and bringing down the carbon dioxide emissions by 6 gigatons. The problem is that when you enter into this, 90% of the general population is about hydro, not knowing how that is connected to this whole discussion. Okay, I hope you have understood now. Chalo. Just take it as another parajumble in which the sentence that comes towards the end should gel with the earlier sentence, and its meaning and message should be in tune with what is discussed in the rest of the paragraph. Okay, that is how you solve paragraph completion. A question. Please try this question and inferred. Huh? So just we try this question quickly. The fundamental laws that govern The fundamental laws that govern the smallest constituents of matter and energy, when applied to the universe over long enough cosmic timescales, can explain everything that will emerge. This means that the formation of literally everything in the universe, from atomic nuclei to atoms, to simple molecules, to complex molecules, to life, to intelligence, to consciousness, and beyond, can all be understood as something that emerges directly from the fundamental laws underpinning reality with no additional laws. So the fundamental laws are governing everything. That is what it seems to be saying. The fundamental laws that govern the smallest constituents of matter and energy, when applied to the universe over long enough cosmic timescales, can explain everything. So the same fundamental laws that work at the level of smallest constituent also work at the level of universe, but you have to only have a longer time scale. है ना? And the same thing is getting repeated. This means that the formation of literally everything in our universe, atomic nuclei, simple molecules, complex molecules, everything emerges from fundamental laws, है ना? With no additional laws. So it is clearly given that no additional laws are required. What can be best inferred? ये लो. It's also close out. Sees the answer. All phenomena on long cosmic scale? No. All phenomena are dependent on the laws, not on the long cosmic scale. Some things will have long cosmic scale, something will not have long cosmic scale. Easy question, can I say? This was very easy. So what XAT does is, in between the flow of questions, there is something very, very easy. And it's quite possible that out of 26 questions, there could be 7 to 8 such very, very easy stuff, interspersed in between. Chalo, I will not unnecessarily give lots of commentary. Next question पे जाते हैं. Chalo. This is a tough parajumble, people. I mean, it's tough in the sense you read and you will realize how tough it is without this. Is there any pairing that is possible? Whenever you see these 5 sentences, look at the sentences and see if there could be a pair. See, it talks about singularity. There is this singularity. है ना? 5 is not the opening sentence. This is what makes sense. Gradually, see, gradually I have become aware of a transforming event in the first half of the 21st century. I would say it was a progressive awakening. I have become aware of a transforming, है ना? Can I say these two can be a pair, 3 and 4? है ना? This is one. These are the only two possibilities actually. Agree, all of you. I think most of you must have spotted that. Gradually, I have become aware of a transforming event looming in the first half of the 20th century. है ना? Gradually, I have become aware of a transforming event looming in the first half of 21st century. I would have to say it was a progressive awakening. So when you have said that I have become aware of something, you would repeat saying that it was a progressive awakening, right? So when 3 and 4 is a pair and 1 is an opening, so you know that our answer has to be from either of these. है ना? Correct? तो ये तो पक्का है, in both the options you have this. But I think 1, 3, 4 is a sequence. I am not sure when I first became aware of the singularity. Gradually, I have become aware of transforming. I don't know. 1, 3 does not look good. I was actually tied between B and C, but I could not proceed further because I thought that starting from 1 and then going to 2. This looks very introductory in the sense that, but this blocks the flow. It's a tough question, believe me. It's a tough question. Tough in the sense even if I create a paragraph, I would not be able to make sense of it, to be very honest. What I thought was 5 and 2 are connected in some way or the other. Just as a black hole in space dramatically alters the patterns of matter and energy accelerating toward its event horizon, this impending singularity in our future is increasingly transforming every institution and aspect of human life from sexuality to in almost half century I have immersed myself in computer knowledge. I have sought to understand the meaning and purpose of the country appeal and I witness. So he doesn't reveals what exactly he is witnessing. Only by tone I can see that 5 and 2 are moving together. I mean that's the only feeling I have. There is no grammatical clue as such. So out of B and C, one of them is the right answer. Very difficult in the sense, but I think I don't know what is the right answer. Eight का answer क्या है? The answer is B for the eighth one. But tough question. There is, even if you have the sequence, it doesn't add up. It feels as if it's all randomly collected sentence. They all have been put together deliberately to make a question, and you cannot do anything about these kind of questions. समझ में आ रहा है? Clear, everyone? What I only feel is that 1, 3, and 4 should go as a pair because they are all introductory. I'm not sure when I first became aware of the singularity. Again, the problem is the singularity needs to refer to something. There must be something before it. But again, there is no better start. Gradually, I have become aware of a transforming event. I have to say, so what happens is you become aware, you become aware, you become awakened. So that is where I think that 1, 3, 4 should go in a sequence without anything coming in between them. That is the reason why when I look at 2 here, it makes me feel a little jittery in the sense that I don't like, because 1, 3, you put 1 and then you bring into, again, you go back to the awareness point. So this 2 becomes basically a block in the flow of the information. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं? That is the only reason why maybe the right answer makes sense. Because I am not sure when I became aware of the singularity. Gradually, I have become aware of a transforming event. And what I feel literally is that 3 and 1 is a better pair, actually. And I would say that gradually I have become aware of a transforming event in the first or 20th century. I would have to say it was a progressive event. I'm not sure when I first became a security. So what I feel, what I felt initially was that I would begin with three, I will go to four, I'll go to one, and then I will bring it to five and two. But there is no such choice. See, I don't want to go unnecessary ki kya question. The answer is given is two. I don't know how the answer is two. Let's go to the next question. How would you take this now? The ninth one. Oil painting did to appearance what capital did to dash. Which is the easiest? It reduced everything to the dash of objects. This is something that you can easily latch onto. Everything became dash because everything became a commodity. What do you think? Would everything become expensive because it is a commodity? Not necessary. It can be also cheap. Would everything be useless if it's a commodity? Not necessarily. It can be useful also. It can be exchangeable. It can be saleable. It can be commercial. Agree, all of you? So if you pick this third blank, you become very clear that A and B are not the right answers. Logically, just because something is a commodity doesn't mean that it is expensive or it is useless. It can be exchangeable. It can be saleable. It can also be commercial, because commodity means something that can be sold, something that can be commercialized, something that is exchanged, right? Now, the next thing is, if everything is saleable, exchangeable, then what happens? Is it because it reduced everything to the minuteness of object or the randomness of object? Both of them go out, yes or no? Just because it is saleable, randomness does not go well with it, and even minuteness does not go well with it. Can I say C could be the answer? A process of arriving at the answer. Now you look at see how it works. Oil painting did to appearance what capital did to social relations. है ना? It reduced everything to the level of objects or to the equality of objects. Now see, this might sound a little awkward in terms of phrasing, but the meaning is pretty much clear, that everything is equal to objects, and that's why everything can be exchanged, and therefore everything was reduced mechanically by its mechanically measured by its materiality. So C is the most convincing of all the blanks. In A and B, expensive and useless are illogical, and in D and D, randomness and minuteness are illogical. I mean, it reduced everything to the minuteness of objects. What do you mean by that? Some things might not be minute and still they could be objects. To the level of objects, to the equality also sounded awkward to me, but I felt that, okay, chalo, equality, it is equal to. Level of means equal to, or level playing field means the same playing field, equal playing field. So I feel that C is right and C is everyone. Did you see how? See, in all the VA questions, people, you will have to use the options smartly and arrive at the answer. If you put every word and then try to read the option, you will take 5 minutes to solve this question. Still, you will get it wrong. How was the process? I read the entire paragraph and then I saw that this sentence is something that I can actually try to resolve. Everything became dash because everything became a commodity. See, if something is a commodity, then what will happen with it? Will it be expensive? No. Will it be useless? No. It can be saleable. It can be commercial. It can be exchangeable. Now I have to pick between these three. So I go and look at the second blank, because equality, randomness are quite different from each other. And then I realize that if randomness is awkward, minuteness is just as awkward. So I see that C makes sense in all aspect. Fill in the blanks ऐसे ही करना है. Grammar ऐसे ही करना है. Pick the options, play with them a little, and you will zero down on the right choice. Tenth question. After this, there is one RC, very, very easy RC, so RC, you would be surprised that XAT can have such a simple RC. So quickly we'll finish this and then we will finish those three questions. Sorry, not three. I think we have two more questions. There is one more Parajumble. I think this was the easiest of all questions. So जल्दी जल्दी करते हैं, ठीक है? I have decided to finish 13 questions today, 15 questions. This is either X or Y. The leave policy is bound to be unpopular either with the management or among workers. Means what? Is bound to be unpopular. So either these people or these people will definitely find it unpopular. If the leave policy is unpopular with the management, it should be modified. That means if it is popular with the management, ठीक है, I'm sorry, I'm not writing it very poorly. But if it is popular with the management, then can I say it should not be modified? Agree? And if it is popular with the workers, they should not adopt a new policy. है ना? If the above statements are true, which of the following must be true? We should attempt to popularize the leave policy among. Why? Why should you attempt? It's a must be true, right? So if this is true, one of them has to be true. This may or may not be true. This may or may not be true. Why only this? Why not this? So all A, B, C are possibilities, but not must be true. Now see how the right answer comes. If the leave policy is popular among workers, okay? If the leave policy is popular among workers, then it doesn't need any new policy, right? But it has to be unpopular either among the workers or the management. So if it is popular among the workers, then can I say it is unpopular among the management? And if it is unpopular among the management, then can I say it needs modification? So this not be adopting a new policy, because if it is popular, then you don't need a new policy. But if it is popular among the management, that means it is unpopular among the workers, right? And therefore you need a new policy. How many of you understood this? See, the Hana. So unpopularity definitely has to be there. Why? Because it says it is bound to be unpopular. Among whom? Among the workers or among the management. Okay? If it is popular among the workers, that means it is unpopular among the management. If it is unpopular among the management, then what is the course of action? Modification. But here you're adopting a new policy, so it is wrong. If it is popular with management, that means it is unpopular with the workers. And if the workers are finding it unpopular, that means they need a new policy. Did you understand now? Yes or no? There has to be an unpopularity either among the workers or the management. If it is unpopular among the workers, then there is a course of action. So the option says it is popular among the management. So if it is popular among the management, means it is unpopular among the workers. Then what should happen? Adopt a new policy. Perfect. See, XAT has this repetition also. So if you solve this paper and if you go in on the exam day, you might come across a similar situation. Easiest of all questions. Please tell me what is the answer. I will not answer this for you. See, we took two parajumbles. One was very simple. This is very simple. That was very tough. So you will immediately realize what happens is, see, the classical parajumble tale has come here. In that year, can I say that this is the year? Out of this long history, I wish to quote here only one date. Which long history? This is the long history. So 2 needs 1, 3 needs 2, 4 at the end. Agree or disagree? जल्दी जल्दी भाई लोग बोलो यार. How much time would you take to solve this question? Everyone agrees this was a very easy question, so easy that it doesn't need any discussion as such. So parajumbles can be both tough and they can be easy. People understand this. They can be both tough and easy. It all depends. Don't just run away from the question because you thought that this is same goes with grammar. One or two easy options and you can easily get through the question. So please don't go with the mindset that ye easy hoga, wo tough hoga, wo bahut easy hoga. I will show you one RC. You will not even need discussion in that RC. Believe me, it is so simple. Okay, correct, incorrect sentence. I think we have done this question. At the start, I had taken this grammar question. Now we have 3 questions from RC and you will finish it very, very quickly at almost blitzkrieg speed. Corporations continue to ignore the threat of global warming. Probably because global warming is a hyperobject, very difficult to touch and feel. So what is a hyperobject? Something that is difficult to touch and feel, right? Because hyperobjects have much wider time. So what is hyperobject? They have much wider time space. है ना? We tend to consider hyperobjects as given or non-existence. So hyperobject has long, they have a long time space boundary. Human beings' lifespan is of 50, 60 years. And your career lifespan is just 20 years. 25 to 45 जो होगा होगा उसके बाद बुढ़े हो जाओगे. Therefore, it is very difficult to deal with hyperobjects as their common understanding is lacking. Some of us continue to believe that global warming is blown out of proportion. It is not a serious threat. Even those who understood hyperobjects have yet to fight out. So people said that global warming is a hyperobject. Hyperobjects are difficult to touch and feel. They occur over a long period of time, correct? And people don't appreciate hyperobjects, the problems by hyperobjects. The lack of understanding and response from corporations to climate change is evident from the fact that most of businesses have remained largely human-centric. Some businesses have adopted green practices voluntarily, involuntarily. These efforts to attempt to reduce emissions through better energy efficiency. Though laudable, the efforts have failed to make any significant dent at the global level. The planet continues to get warmer. Moreover, most of the efforts are still in the sphere of business as usual and what is good for us. Business as usual, the current model of economic production and distribution is deeply flawed. The current model of economic production and distribution is deeply flawed, as it is what mainly on capitalistic ethos. What capitalistic ethos? Pre-market, private property, competition. All these are the ethos of capitalism, and the author says they are deeply flawed. The word free has come to mean that there are no constraints on individuals, and the word market has come to mean that buying and selling are the primary mechanisms and everything is a transaction. Private property gives individuals, nations, a chance to create legal rights to own more and more, subject to very little constraints. It is evident in income inequalities witnessed across the world. The very notion of ownership is control oriented and human centric. Said this, the author is not in favor of control orientation, because control orientation means you have unlimited extraction from environment. You have hyper nationalism, hyper individualism. Why? Because you have control of ownership. The extraction exploitation of the environment has served our economic interests and led to the growth and survival of businesses. However, it has also led to the destruction of environment. Global warming is the response of nature to human actions driven by the business principles of surplus, predictability, control, hyper rationality, etc., etc., etc. ठीक है? चलो. Which of the following is the closest to hyper object? Which do you think is the closest to hyper object? There are two conditions. Firstly, it should be over long time and space boundary, and it should also be intangible. Which one do you think has the qualities of hyper object? This is to your own self. This is also not hyper object. You can always have a closer time, 2 months closer time, hard work, 3 weeks of hard work can get you good percentile. So between C and D, which is hyper object? Hyper object. I think this is, how the earth over centuries. So this is hyper object rather than seasons, which is hardly 2, 3 months. All of you agree that C is the answer? It was between C and D, but C is better. Why? Because over centuries rather than over a few months. Agree or disagree? भाई जल्दी जल्दी बोलो यार. हाँ? Correct. I mean, I was close between C and D, but I thought that over the centuries is basically greater time span. Seasons, we can feel seasons, from March to, from Feb to April, you can very much sense how Feb is and how April is these days. So 2, 3 months changes can be perceived very quickly. But this is something that you cannot perceive. So greater time span. Which of the following is not an example of human-centric statement? human centric, preserve for us, plant trees for us, economic growth for us. This is also human centric. Can I say this is non-human centric? We should respect nature for its, so you are respecting nature for its intelligence. This is the odd one out. है ना? Not cut trees because you will benefit. Use because of economic growth. Plant trees because you will get oxygen. So everywhere humans are the central element who are benefiting. Here it is nature who is benefiting. So it is not a human centric statement. In fact, see, even if you don't understand sometimes questions, you go with the odd one out. This is the odd one out. All the others are actually helping humans. So if you say that preserve nature for our generations, plant trees for us, nature for our growth, cut trees for our, that means this is the only odd one out, and it is indeed the odd one out. Why? Because respecting nature for its intelligence, है ना? Now let's go to the next question. Which of the following statements is not in consonance? See, not in consonance is not in agreement, है ना? Consonance is the opposite of dissonance. So when you say not in consonance, that means not in agreement. So the author would not agree with this. The author would not agree with building a beautiful resort on a hilltop. Why? Because you are harming environment. So the author definitely would not agree with this. The author would not agree with patents should be registered. Why? Because if you have patent, you have unlimited right to destroy the environment. The author has said that the modern ethos of capitalism are our biggest problem. So he is basically against free trade also. Property ownership is also what he has criticized in the last paragraph. So building a beautiful resort is something that harms nature. If you have patent, you are going to be greedy. It gives you exclusive right. In fact, it is the benchmark of capitalism. Capitalism gives you the incentive to invent. So patent is actually a part of capitalistic ethos. So both 1 and 3 is something that he would not agree with. Trading of shares on the free market stock should be promoted. See, this becomes a problem in the sense that trading of shares on the free stock market should be promoted. You might say, sir, yes or no, why yes, why no. But if I go with the statement that he's against the ethos of capitalism, I feel that he does not agree with this. You know? You know? Can I say he's critical of this? Anna. So 1, 2, and 3 all are the right answers. The author is not in agreement with all the three. 1 and 3 definitely, blatantly. 2, in a certain way, he is very much against free trading. You know? In fact, he says that there should be constraints everywhere. Without constraint, people become greedy. There is hyper nationalism, there is hyper individualism, and that causes harm to the environment. So answer is either 1, 2, and 3 or 1 and 3. But 1, 2, and 3 is the given answer is 1, 2, and 3. I agree it is 1, 2, and 3. Well, this is also a part of the free market thing, which is one of the linchpin of capitalism, and the author is against it. So in this, you could have solved two questions, 13, 14, two correct. है ना? You could have got this. नहीं, ये नहीं बनता. You could have got this correct, 3 very easily. Could have got this also correct, 4, 5. See, out of all the 15 questions that we have seen right now, I think 7 or 8 well gettable actually. है ना? 7, 8 questions you could have got, maybe 4 or 5 more and here and there. बनता है यार. See, I'm not doing anything extra. I'm just telling you that if you want to score well in this exam, you have to be a little smart in the VA part. In the RC part, you have to go the way you went in CAT. There is nothing additional to be done as such. So if I take the other, how many? 15 we have finished, right? So we'll finish the 11 tomorrow, the other 11 questions. So that we solve an entire paper. And once you solve an entire paper, you will get to know, okay, acha, what should be the general approach. Out of two parajumbles, one is going to be easy. Out of two, three grammar question, one is going to be easy. Out of the fill in the blanks, maybe generally it is always manageable. So you have to target at least 4 questions from the VA part. Then the individual questions, which of the following can be concluded, can be inferred. These are not very much critical reasoning type. But out of 4 or 5 questions, there are 2 or 3 which are gettable. So all these individual questions, you have to pick and choose from them and try to get around 7, 8 marks, at least 6, 7 marks. So that the other 4, 5 you can get from the RCs. So that is how you will touch 12, 13 marks. समझ में आ रहा है? So we'll take the other 11 tomorrow. I'll put this on freely on the channel. You can watch it. But I hope you understand the approach now. है ना? ठीक. Chalo people, I hope it's 1.5 hour, but I hope you learned something. It's not that I am reluctant to take that session, but I believe that the strategy and approach is more important. And you can practice the questions. In fact, much of the basic concepts that we have used today in discussing the grammar questions have been used in the classes. And in all those grammar, if you watch them 2, 3 times, I'm quite sure that you will get a fair idea about how to attack the grammar questions. ठीक है? Chalo, I will share the recording tomorrow. We will meet again the same time. We'll finish the rest of the questions. ठीक है?